Whatever your business might be, tracking conversions to understand user behavior on your website is crucial. Hi, my name is Zselyke, I'm from Zselyke Marketing, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how you can use Google Tag Manager to track conversions and micro conversions on your website. So even if you are not selling products on your website, there still must be actions on your website that consumers take that are relevant for you to track. These can be filling in a contact form, signing up for a newsletter, downloading an important document such as a PDF from your website. So these can all be tracked in conversions, which will help you optimize your digital marketing campaigns, whether you use Google, Facebook, or anything else in between. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can track these actions on your website using Google Tag Manager and counting them as a conversion. So without further ado, let's get to it. So let's talk just a teeny tiny bit about Google Tag Manager. So in general, it helps you consolidate your tags, meaning that if you need to install several things, especially different Google products on your website, this could be Google Ads, Google Analytics, Merchant Center, different types of conversion tracking, etc., then Google Tag Manager will help you do this all in one place without you having to go into the front-end code of the website and copy-pasting code, which in theory it's not that complicated because all it takes is for you to have the code and then copy and paste it to the correct place in the website. However, depending on how you have built your website, sometimes you just simply don't have access to the code because maybe you have built it using a program like Shopify or Wix, etc., which can help you create beautiful websites, but sometimes they're really not that great for customized tracking and adding different types of tracking that you really need for your website, and you really need to improve your sales and make sure that you're tracking your data correctly and getting all the data that you need. So this is when Google Tag Manager comes into the picture. So Google Tag Manager is a fairly easy tool to use, but it does take some getting used to. So it's actually very important that you understand why you are doing what you're doing. So don't install the Google Analytics tag on your website just for sake for installing it, and because everyone tells you that that's the first thing you should do once you have your website live. But you should really understand that this data is so valuable for you, and it can really help you understand which part of your website is not functioning well, where do you need to develop, and where you might be losing some customers, where maybe it's a small UX problem that is fairly easy to fix and it thus can really help you improve your conversion rate. So I'm going to show you right now what is it that we are going to be doing now, and I'm also going to explain you why. So let's start by heading to my website. So this is my website, and what happens here is I'm driving traffic to my website through my YouTube channel, the very same one that you're watching right now. And for anyone who needs further help with their website, I direct them to my website and they can book a consultation with me or start a digital marketing partnership where I help them on an ongoing way. So for me, it's first of all, it's important to see where my audience is coming from. I'm also fairly active on LinkedIn, but sometimes I also might post something on my Instagram. And obviously here on my YouTube channel, I also try to mention my website on the description box. So now that I have Google Analytics installed on my website, I can see where the different audiences are coming from, right? So this was step number 1 for me, and you can actually see the video how to install Google Analytics to your website using Google Tag Manager. So now I roughly know what people are doing on my website. I know how much time they're spending on it, and etc. So it is a good indicator on how good my website is. So what's also crucial to know is that all websites should have one goal that you're kind of driving your users towards. So obviously for a website like mine, it's not necessarily a sale, but maybe it's the fact that someone schedules a business consultation with me or an initial digital marketing call. So this is definitely something I want to track. So by implementing tracking for these specific actions, I can see more accurate data about, for example, which source is most relevant for me. Because I have noticed that although I do get a lot of traffic from LinkedIn, it seems like most people are not really interested in watching my videos from beginning to end, which is actually not that good for me. So I might stop doing that. Who knows? But what we're really going to focus on now is how to implement this type of tracking for specific actions for your website. So what we're going to do is we're going to define a specific action on your website and then make that trigger an event And then this will inform your Google Analytics that this event has taken place. So following the example of my own website, we're gonna track two different things for the two different types of conversions. So one will be when someone schedules a call with me. So you can see that I have a button for it here, and also all the way in the very bottom there should be one over here. So I want it to be one event that whenever someone clicks on schedule a call with me, I will get a notification on analytics, because obviously I will see the end result, but let's say maybe 100 people every day, that would be a lot, but let's say 100 people every day would click on this button, but for some reason I would only get one scheduled call in the end in my calendar. So this would be an obvious indicator that either something is wrong with the process, or maybe the link is broken, or something that I should definitely fix, because that would be a not so great conversion rate. So we will set tracking for that one. And also, if you go a little further up, I have also a link for my YouTube channel on my website over here. And I think there should be another one somewhere right over here. So we're gonna set for this another type of tracking. So by the end of this video, I'm gonna have tracking on my website for both of these actions. So let's get started maybe by the button one. So by the way, for this, I'm gonna be assuming that you already have Google Analytics tracking implemented on your website and that you already have a Google Tag Manager account. So if you have those, then we're ready to get started. So first of all, we're gonna head back to our Google Tag Manager. And first of all, we're gonna head to variables, and you're gonna click on configure. And you just really want to make sure that you have all types of click elements enabled. These might also come in handy in the future. And this itself is not going to do anything, but you're just indicating for Google Tag Manager what type of variables you want to use as triggers for any type of action that someone might take on your website. So we're going to use all the click elements, and you only have to enable these once. Then once we have the variables enabled, we're going to head over to tags. And we're basically going to build a new tag. So we're going to click over here to new. And we're going to call it schedule a call button click. And for tag type, we're going to use Google Analytics. And then the tracking type will be an event. And we're going to name this button. And the action will be click. And let's say the action will be schedule a call button click, and the label will be this. And you don't have to indicate the value for this, and you keep the rest as it is. And if you already have Google Analytics implemented through Google Tag Manager, then you should have your Google Analytics ID showing up over here when selecting a variable. So you're going to just check that one. And then once we have this, we will head over to triggers, and all pages is what we are recommended by default, but obviously that's not what we want, because we want this event to be triggered by someone clicking on the button that we have talked about earlier. So for this, we're going to actually start and create a new trigger, and we're going to call this schedule a call button click trigger. And then over here, we're going to click on all elements. And then a little bit later, we're going to specify. So instead of all clicks, we're going to use some clicks. And to identify the click class, we're going to head over to our website. And we're going to check how the buttons look like. So we're going to right click them and check on inspect element. And you can see that this is the button class, call to action button M16, etc., etc. So I'm gonna copy this for now, but I also want to double check that the same trigger will be triggering all three buttons. So I'm gonna also inspect this one, and this one is called call to action button M auto, MT2. And then finally, let's check the last button. So it looks like it's called the same. So they're slightly different, because this one was empty something. So I want to check some other buttons. For example, check the ID of the Find Out More button. And you can see that this one, for example, has a different class. So in general, I already have double checked this, but I also recommend you to check that you don't have this colliding with any other buttons. But at this point, I'm confident to say that I have the name over here, and I'm just gonna remove the end, because I know that all 3 buttons included this snippet of link. So at this point, we know that the class, the click class, contained this text. So we are ready to save this. So now we have the tag configuration, and we also indicated what specific action should trigger this. So we are actually ready to save this one. And now we're going to double check if it's working correctly. So for this, we're going to head to preview mode. So now we should be in preview mode. So once we head back to the website and hit refresh, then we should see the tag manager popping up over here. So at this point, you can see that we already have the Google Analytics fired, and we also have a tag that hasn't been fired here, that the scheduler call that we just implemented. So it's actually good that it hasn't fired yet, because I haven't clicked on it yet. So let's see what happens if I click on it. I don't want it to open in a new window, because then I will lose the tag manager preview. So I'm just going to press Ctrl and click the link. So it will open in another window, and you can see that the tag has immediately fired, which means that we have set it up correctly. Just to double check that everything's working fine, I'm gonna do a little bit of testing and click another few links, but looks like none of these are firing that same tag. So this should be fine. Let me just see if it also triggers the link in the bottom over here. And the tag has been fired, so looks like this is all good. So once we have made sure that our tags are firing on Google Tag Manager, if you still want to double check that everything is set up fine, then you should head to Google Analytics. And from the homepage, you can actually head to Real Time and Events, and you should have all the events that are popping up or happening right now on your website showing up over here. So you can see that I have just clicked the Schedule a Call button, but in the past 30 minutes, I have been clicking all over the place, so I have several of these same actions. So it looks like this is really set up totally in a good way. You might also want to take into account that if you watched my previous video where I talked about how you can filter out your own activity on your website from your Google Analytics, then these, if you're doing this from home, then these obviously are not going to trigger any events. So for this purpose, I actually have 2 different views. I have one with all the website data, and I have one where I have filtered out all the activity that I'm performing or someone is performing from my house. So right now I'm using the all website data view. If I would head to the filtered one, where I filter out my own personal activity, then you can see that there have been no events in the past 30 minutes. So you just make sure that if you did implement that filter, you also have an other view on your analytics just for your raw data. Now that we have that ready, I want to show you one more way how you can track another type of conversion from your website. So the way that I just showed you is great and it's super practical, but if you're a little bit uncomfortable about inspecting the element and making sure that you're tracking the correct type of element on your website, then this other way might be the easier solution for you. So for that, we're going to head back to Google Tag Manager, and we're actually going to set up a new variable. We're going to set up a new trigger. So we're going to click New over here, and we're going to call it General Click. So we're going to configure it as a click and all elements, but instead of specifying what kind of click, we're just going to say all clicks, and we're going to save this. So right now, we're going to head back to preview mode, and then we're going to head back to the website. And then we might want to refresh because there's a new trigger over here. So you might remember that I wanted to track whenever someone clicks on my YouTube channel from my website. So again, I'm going to press Ctrl and click on it. and then you can see kind of all the activity that has occurred on my website. So I'm gonna click on that, and also there was another link over here. So you can see what else has been happening here. So I'm gonna click on this, and we're gonna see the variables. So if you remember what we were doing on the Google Tag Manager is that we were specifying the variable and giving a value to it on Google Tag Manager, and then telling on which type of variable, under which value should let Google Analytics know that a certain event has occurred. So in this case, now after having clicked on the link that I want to track, this is all the information that Google Tag Manager has collected. So I can basically track this click to my YouTube channel using any of these variables, as long as I make sure that it wouldn't collide with anything else that might happen on my website. For example, I probably wouldn't want to use GTM click, because this would probably be applicable to all other types of links on my website. So I really want to use something unique that won't be colliding with any other events on my website. In this case, I think it would make most sense to use either the click element or maybe even the click URL, and use the link for my YouTube channel. So I'm gonna copy paste this bit, and we're gonna use click URL, and we're gonna use this as the value. So for that, we're gonna head back to Google Tag Manager, and actually we're gonna convert this general click into YouTube link click. And instead of all elements, we're gonna use some clicks, and instead of click classes, we're gonna select click URL, just like it is over here. And then we're gonna say that it's gonna contain, and we're gonna paste the bit of the link that I have for my YouTube channel. I'm gonna add the C there just for good measure. And we're ready to save this one. So now we're gonna head over to tags, and we're gonna create a new tag. We're gonna call it YouTube link click, like so. And again, we're gonna use the Google Analytics way of tracking. So we're gonna call it an event, and it's gonna be a button. We're gonna call it YouTube link click, and we're gonna again select the analytics tracking that we already have implemented, and we're gonna select the trigger, and we already set it up. It's gonna be the YouTube link click, and then you save it over here. And now we're gonna head back to the website. First, I'm gonna refresh the preview mode, and I'm also gonna reload this one over here. And now again, we can see the tags fired and the tags not fired. So again, I'm gonna press Ctrl and click on the YouTube link, and you can see that this has been fired, which is good news because it means it's working. So I'm gonna head back to Google Analytics, and this is the filtered home IP view. So I'm gonna go back to all website data, and we can see that this one has just fired one time. So again, it means that we have set this up correctly. So now that we have this done, we're gonna head back to Google Tag Manager, and super important that sometimes I do forget is that you submit these changes. And make sure to name it something descriptive, so if you ever go back in the past, you will know what changes you have submitted. And I'm gonna publish it over here, and we're done. So there you have it. I just showed you 2 ways how you can track conversions for your website. So I hope you liked this video and that this content was useful for you. If you think so, then make sure to subscribe. I post new videos every Wednesday, so make sure that you won't miss the next one. I also offer consultations for businesses, so if you ever need more customized help, then you can also write me and get in touch with me through my website. I will put all the necessary information in the description box below, so you can get in touch with me through there. Or feel free to leave a comment. I always try to make sure to answer every single one that arrives to my channel. And other than that, I will see you next Wednesday, and I hope you have a beautiful day.